going through Ignite, as you may or may not know, is a series of courses that's designed to help launch or relaunch your real estate career. We're focused on learning the activities that are necessary to help build your real estate business and launch a successful long-term real estate career. Right? So today, we're going to talk about setting goals that matter. Now, every day we're going to talk about what successful agents do every day. That's a given, right? Because we're going to be successful agents, and these are the things that we're going to be doing on a daily basis. Right? Lead generating for buyers and sellers, making appointments, making presentations, previewing properties so we know the market, and then working in our business, right? Marketing the actual listings, showing houses, negotiating contracts, all those wonderful things we need to do to put deals together and down the road to closings, right? All right. So how's everyone doing from the last session in general? Anyone have any ahas or any breakthroughs that they'd like to share? Is everyone going to mute today and not participate?
Hi, Mark. It's Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I just kind of had a couple realizations for myself. I've been, and I know we talked about this before a little bit, but I'm still kind of struggling with figuring out how I want to do my time blocking. And the other realization I had is that I also need to kind of create like a bunker, like a non-distraction type place. Can you hear me okay? Is my mic?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, you're good. I was just taking a note.
So those are just my ahas and kind of what I'll be focusing on over the weekend.
What was the bunker? Explain that a little bit.
Just a place that can minimize distractions.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone have anything to share that they might be grateful for? Something that is worthy of gratitude happened in the last couple of days?
Yes, actually, hi Mark, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I liked all the sessions, and from yesterday I got that again that I can do in this COVID, that kind of feelings, that confidence start gaining. Actually, that's the very important thing happened from last 2-3 days.
Building confidence. Very good.
And
Very
getting
good.
focus, yeah. And as Melissa asked, I also have that confusion that I always have so many things to do, but end of the day, I'm not doing anything. It is like a lot of confusion, what to do, what not to do. Is prioritizing the work is the big issue.
To prioritize work, or go through the exercise. Have you gone through read the book The One by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan yet?
Yes.
That's basically what that whole book is about, right? How to prioritize and prioritizing your daily tasks to help you focus on what are the most important things that make everything else easier.
Okay, I will go into read that book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's parallel to kind of what that discussion too. We'll talk about it a little bit. Actually, some excerpts from that a little later today. Anyone else? Anything grateful they want to share? Something they're grateful for? Do you guys see any opportunities for yourselves as you're going through this past week? Have you realized any opportunities that you may have found for growth in your business? Anyone care to share?
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Alice.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so I think it was very nice to listen to how other people hustle. And then I'm on, I think, my third year now. And then it's whatever that you guys are feeling on your first and second, it's the same feeling every year for me. And so for Amanda and also Wilson, everybody. And so I feel like the problem is not really know how to prioritize or finding a place to not being distracted. To me, if I want to reach to a lead today, do it, right? If I always have, oh, I have to be at the office in order to call this guy, or I have to read the book in order to be motivated, that's creating a barrier for yourself, for myself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Either I want to do it, I want to reach out to a lead today, or I don't. Because if I don't, then there's always excuses that I create for myself. You know what I mean? So I think
Absolutely.
listening to other people hustling is the motivation that if you want to do it, do it. Doesn't matter where you are or what you use, right? Either cards or calling or emailing. So yep, that's for me.
Very good. Thank you for sharing, Alice.
Yep.
Does anyone have anything they're excited about that they'd like to share? No, good. Everyone's still asleep. It's Friday. The weekend's coming. What does that mean for us, though? Do we really get the weekend off? It's a weekend. Weekend means we have more opportunities, right? That's one of our greatest opportunities to meet more people because everyone's off work. All your neighbors will be out this weekend. You'll be able to lead generate as you walk around your house, possibly, maybe. Today, we're going to talk about setting goals that matter, right? What to reach for, right? Well, sometimes when we're doing the repetitive things that we have to do, it's good to have a goal or something to focus on to help us get through the challenges that we're going to face in our day and in our businesses. So today we're mostly going to focus on the lead generating for buyers and sellers. We're going to talk about setting goals. We'll go through a few exercises to help us set those goals. All right. So today we're going to do we're going to work with our 411. So you guys familiar with the 411? We'll put one of those together today. We'll go through a little worksheet too to kind of understand what the economics mean and how many units we're going to need to work on in order to achieve our financial goals. So what makes a goal that matters? Let's talk about that. What's a goal that matters? When you hear that, what does that mean to you guys? What's a goal that matters? Anyone care to share?
Maybe support your big why.
Support your big why. Sure, absolutely. Anything else?
Help you to stay more focused.
Having the goals will help you stay more focused. It's true. What about setting a goals making a goal that matters? What does that mean? Well, obviously, yeah, focusing and then supporting the why. But what else? Anyone? Care to elaborate? Goals that matter? I would say goals that matter are goals that have a big impact, right, in your life, that could maybe change things for the better. Would you agree with that statement? Goals that matter, make a big impact. Any other things about goals that matter? Anyone want to help me by reading? If this
Who
was a
we
classroom,
are.
I'd be calling on somebody. Philip, please go ahead.
Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish.
Who we are and where we want to go to determine what we do and what we want to accomplish. Now, thinking about this quote, right? Why do you think it's important to set goals?
I would like to say that there are too many distractions or so-called bunny trails that are taking us off the main path that we would like to travel.
Okay. And by having goals helps you eliminate those distractions? It's fair?
Yes.
Absolutely fair. Anyone else care to share? What do you,
Goals
Melissa,
are
please.
kind of help us determine where it is we want to go and what we want to accomplish.
They set the path, right? I mean, what about the reverse of this statement? Don't you think that's kind of true too? What you do and what you accomplish determine where you go, right? What you do and what you accomplish also determines who you are and where you go. So if your activities don't have a guiding goal, it's a good chance you'll be very busy and maybe not have a lot to show for it. Right? Our mission is to build our careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experience giving, and legacies worth leaving. Right? Things just happen. Right? We have to work towards those things. So we have to have a goal in mind. Setting goals that matter means doing work that matters. And when we do the work that matters, then we do more of it, and we do it well. Right? We achieve the things that we want to achieve. Part of achieving goals is working hard, right? We can all agree on that, right? So if we don't put in time and effort, we're not going to get very far. Right? Just thinking about these things is one thing. So we have to think about where we want to go, but then we have to combine that with time and effort. All right. So what else do you think is important? We have thinking, we have time and effort. What else is important about setting and meeting goals?
We actually have to physically go out and do something and not just think about it.
Well, the goals will lead us to the action we need to take, right? Will lead us to the actions that we need to take. How about our thoughts? All right, we want to dedicate the time and effort so we can do those actions. But isn't our thinking going to be very important to the goals that we set? Right, if we're thinking small, what's going to happen to our outcome?
Probably small results.
Probably have a small result. Can you have a big result if you have a small mindset?
Probable, but likely.
Unlikely, right? But if we have a big mind or a big, we're thinking big, then those opportunities or those chances or those outcomes become a greater reality, right?
Right.
And if we're thinking big, what happens to the small outcomes? They happen either way, right?
Exactly.
Right. So thinking small, we don't really get the big outcomes. But when we talk about thinking here, I want to talk about thinking big, setting goals and thinking big and how to achieve those goals. And you have to ask yourself, right? What are you doing? How are you going to do it? Who are you going to do it with? And those answers, they're going to either limit your outcomes or they're going to propel you forward in your achieving the goals to achieve, right?
Yes.
When you combine the what now with the actions, get your results. So the questions you have to need to ask yourself, right, is how big is your box? Right, that what, who, and what, how, and who box. If you're not big, you're kind of creating yourself an artificial ceiling for yourself, because there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much one person, right, can do with those hours. So we're a little limited in where we action. So we can focus on what we focus on. That's all we have. Right? Many new agents kind of limit themselves right away. Maybe they don't call their sphere and they just hope business will come their way, or they're not systematic about their processes of lead generation, or you don't you don't want to learn the scripts that'll make your life easier, your job easier. Those agents aren't going to stay in business because they don't treat the business as a business. They're going to burn out because they don't see the good return for their time and their effort. Because there's so many things, and you'll learn this if you read the one book, right? There's so many tasks and things you can do throughout the course of the day. And in many cases, guys, the task list is greater than the amount of time that we have to achieve those tasks. So then we have to start thinking about those tasks, right? Or does each task have an equal importance, right? Is doing the dishes going to lead to, do they have to be done? Yes. But is doing the dishes going to lead to more business tomorrow? No. So if the big focus is you have to get more business tomorrow, what should you do first? Should you also do the dishes? That's something you have to decide for yourself. But if the business and the why and the reasons for being in business are more important, then you put that priority there and you make it happen. Does that make sense? Hope it makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense.
And it made sense the third time I went through it first time. So good. I'm glad you guys are catching on quick. So let's do a little activity here. Will help us envision a big life. Right? So once you have that vision in place, you can set the meaningful goals that will bring us closer to that life. So once we have the goals, we can then talk about how to reach them, right? So it begins with your vision, right? Something what you want to achieve for yourself. So you guys have your participant guide. You want to turn to the participant guide in page 4. And on page 4 is where we'll have the table here. I'm going to change my screen sharing. Change to that so we can all look along. Bear with me 1 second here. And as I do that, hopefully you guys are putting your facilitator guide. Preview. All right. So on the rectangle, on the top of the rectangle that you see there on the page 4, you're going to write a person or a cause that you care about. Okay. What impact you want to have on them, and then how much it would cost. Right. So let me give you a little example here. Right. On each of the 5 rectangles, we're going to write a person or a cause that we care about. And then what we're going to do for that person. So, maybe you want to be able to care for your parents as they age, or maybe you want to send your kids to school, to college, or you want to send them to a private school this year, or you want to pay for a vacation for you and your friend, or for a cause that you care about. Maybe I like Unravel Pediatric Cancer, or the food bank, or something that's near and dear to you that help facilitate and make a meaningful impact in, right? And you could put your name in there as well, right? You could have some goals and dreams and things that you want to achieve for yourself, like buying your first home, perhaps, if you're not already a homeowner, or buying an investment home if you already are a homeowner, right? Having a big life also includes prioritizing things for yourself. So there's no wrong answers, guys. Just let's take a few minutes and we'll talk about it. Well, let's take the next 10 minutes and go through on your own and try to fill out this page. And then don't forget to estimate how much each action would cost, right? So if you want to send your kids to the elementary or middle school, 30 to 40, 50 grand a year. Now, what does it cost to care for ailing parents, for example? Put that down, or how much you want to a charitable cause. Don't be afraid to think big. All right, and then in the center circle, we're going to quantify what this big life requires financially, right? How much we're going to tally up all the things that all the 5 things that we want to get done. We're going to tally up what they're going to cost. And we're going to have a very clear goal in the middle there as to what's it going to take. Now, box will be your big why, not necessarily. The box is a big why, yeah. Boxes are all big whys. The center is the financial of your big whys to help you identify exactly how much we're going to need to make this year to achieve the goals that we want to achieve, to live the life that we want to live. Right? And there's no wrong answers. This is all going to be very personal, right? Everyone's at a different point in their life. Everyone's at a different point in their career as a real estate agent. So everyone's going to have different realizations with regards to this. So take a few minutes, guys. I'll be back in 4 minutes, and we'll discuss this. All right, we're back. Did you guys fill out your form? Or did you go grab coffee? Who filled out their form? Anyone? Show of hands. Melissa, very good. Anyone else? I'm looking. I can see. You guys know how to do the reactions? They're there. If you do, let's see. Somewhere in the toolbar, you guys can react. There's Phil. All right. Does anyone care to share any of their boxes?
Hey, Mark, quick question. The
Yes.
number in the middle, is that annually or is that overall or 5-year plan or?
Let's stick to this year.
Okay.
That's a good question, actually. Anybody care to share? Anyone have all 5? I have 4. I couldn't think of a 5th one right now. I'm sure if I thought about it for more than 5 minutes, I'd think of something new. Anybody want to share?
The first one I put was to buy a house.
Buy a house. Excellent. What's that going to take?
I'm doing the math right now. I would be very happy if it didn't take me 3 to 5 years to get there. But I just picked a random number of 1.3, and my goal is to.
Is that your down payment?
No, I guess I'm kind of conservative. So I was just my goal for this year would be to try and get to that down payment.
Okay, the down payment to buy a 1.3 house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we need? 20%? 10%?
Yeah, 20.
20%. So we need 260K. Very good. Good starting point. You think it's going to take how long to do that? You think that's something you can achieve in a year?
I believe so.
All right, you can. Very good. What you focus on expands, right? That's gold law. So if you focus on it, we can do it. That's what we're kind of one of the things this exercise helps us focus on. Anyone else have a box they want to share? You don't have to share your whole page, just at least one. Melissa wants to buy a house. Buying, or I know it's not a homeowner, it's a great goal. Anyone want to go on vacation? I want to take my family on vacation. I put that on there to Europe once this COVID clears. And I have that down for a $40,000 trip. I'm 6'4" and weigh 260 pounds. I can't fly coach, and I can't make my family sit in coach, so I got to pay everyone. I can go to Vegas, or I can go to like LA normal, or even the East Coast. That's kind of a struggle, but to sit 10 hours plus like this for me, it's not going to work. So we got big goals. If we're going to go to Europe, I got to spend a lot of money. Anyone else have anything they want to share? Private schools, charity contributions. All right, then we want to add that, all the items in the boxes up, to put that in the middle. So we can have a conceptual understanding of how much financially we're going to need to come, where we're going to need to go achieve towards to achieve the things we really want in our life. The real number is going to be a little higher because you got to understand how the money breaks down, right? What does it take? How many transactions is it going to take to get you to the goals that you're setting for yourself? Things that you need to think about. Anyone have any aha through the exercise that they'd like to share?
I did all 5 boxes and I came up with $460,033.
Excellent. Very good. You guys doable?
Eventually, yes.
Very good. It's true. Very doable. Anyone else care to share?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I have one fun one. Travel around the world. I have past client did it for $50,000 cruise, and she told me you can get it for probably 2022. You can reserve that for 50,000 for half a year travel around the world.
That's pretty good. You pay
Yeah, it's a
50,000.
cruise. It's a
You pay
cruise,
$50,000 on a cruise, and
Yeah.
it's how long is the cruise for?
half a year.
Wow.
Yeah, she purchased it this year, and
So-
she started.
So not only that's a good one. If you want to
Yeah.
take a cruise, what do you have to do? What's it going to cost you really to take a half a year's cruise?
I
Think about
have
that.
to make enough money to cover that cost and to cover the time I'm traveling. I cannot produce the income.
Bingo.
Yeah, I
Right,
need
so
a
you-
one and a half.
So that's a good box to have, but don't forget, it's not only the $50,000 that you have to put in that box for the cruise, and since you're going to be gone for 6 months, you have to account for that time too, right?
Yes,
So you have 6 months worth of income in that box to really accurately tabulate that portion. Any questions so far? Well, let's go on then. Let's understand kind of where the money goes, so we understand what we do to get to what those numbers in those middle boxes, right? You don't want to be that agent that gets your first check at closing, puts all the money in your pocket, and then all the bills come due, the taxes come due, and you've overspent. So very, very important for us to realize, what those dollars, those commission dollars really mean, right? So where does the money, right? Half of it's listing, right? You get your 5 or 6% listing or 7% listing, and you're going to split approximately half of that with the other agent, right? Or if you're working the buyer, technically you're splitting the total commission between 2 agents, right? Then the market share is going to take their third, covers your market share expenses, right? Company dollar, franchise fees, comes out to about a third of that check, right? And then another third has to go back into your business, right? That covers your marketing, your operating expenses, your signs, miles on your car, your phone, anything else you need to conduct and then grow your business, right? And then you're left with the take home, the last third. And don't forget about the taxes. You want to make sure that you're putting the money away for your taxes religiously. Like, you don't want to have a year's worth of work totally wiped out because you failed to plan for taxes, right? Thinking, oh, wow, I've saved $40,000. I'm about to go to Europe. And then your accountant calls and says, you owe $40,000 in taxes. That'll deflate your mojo for the next year. Don't do that, right? We'd be very, very mindful. All right, let's talk numbers. Our numbers are going to be different than the numbers in this example because, remember, these slides were made for a national audience, and we're here very fortunate in Silicon Valley. So let's run the numbers be for us, right? For the let's put 1.2 million because that really is our believe it or not, the average sale price of a home in Santa Clara County. Right, and then what's our average commission split right now? We're at 2.5%. Would everyone agree that 2.5% is the majority transaction side that we see? Fair to say? So let's run the calculation here. All right. Does anyone want to run it for me? What's 2.5% of 1.2? It's about 30 grand, right? Your average gross commission for the country is 9,000. Here in Silicon Valley, we get 30,000. Pretty cool, right? Well, let's see what happens to that money, right, as we go down the road. Okay. Let's run this calculation. Gross commission and income are split. So the market center company dollar out of that 30,000, they're going to take 30%. What's 30% of 30,000? It's about 9. Yeah, $9,000 there. But the cool thing is in our market center, it's capped. It's capped at 32K. We have our franchise royalty. That's the dollars that go back to Keller Williams Realty. It'd be 6% of the 30K, or $1,800. So what's the total of our company dollar and our market center contribution? We're at 10,800, right, of our 30,000. So out of the 30,000, 10, 8, or let's say 11 to be easy math, comes off the top. So we're putting about 19K per deal on average. And our company dollar and royalty cap, right, it's 30 plus the 32, I'm sorry, plus the 3. So our total company dollar and royalty cap under B here is going to be 33,000. So if your net goal is only 100,000, we have company dollar and royalty 35,000. That means we got to make up 130. We have to make 135 to get our 100, right? Because remember, 35 goes to the company. Our average gross commission that we're taking away is 19K, and we got to make 135. So just about 20K to make 135,000. That means we have to sell a little over 6 units a year to achieve that goal. That doesn't sound right. I'm going to run this back again. All right, if our average sale price is 1.2 million, our average commission is 2.5%. Our average gross commission is going to be $30,000. So average gross commission in transaction. We have market center company dollar. If you take out your split until you cap, right, is going to be 30% or 9. We're going to, the royalty to Keller Williams is a total of 3,000, but it's capped, right? So in the transaction, they're going to take 1,800. So for a total deduction from just about 11,000, making each commission that you earn average just about 19,000, or we can up to 20K. So since the dollars are worth a little more, let's hit our net income goal of 100,000 low. Net income goal is 300,000. We're going to cap it. So it'll make our calculations a lot easier. So if our net income goal is 300,000, the company dollar and royalty cap is 35,000. That means we have to make 335,000 in order to make that $300,000. Average commission is 20K per transaction. How many transactions how many transaction sides are we going to need to reach $300,000 in commission? All right, divide 335 by 20. And we're sitting somewhere about 16 and a half transactions. 16 and a half transactions to make 300,000 net. Any questions on how that calculation works? I had a question to do it again. Is everybody clear? Is everybody clear on how much money they need to in order to reach the goals? Is everyone clear on how to make calculations at least? I don't hear any. Assume all is good. Are we all good? I guess we're all good. All right. So, I mean, the point of today's conversation is really not, I'm not trying to discourage everyone or discourage people. It's to equip you with the reality of what you need to be successful. And no matter how big your goal is, right, you can achieve it in real estate business as long as you focus your time and efforts on doing the right things, doing the right business activities, right? The bigger the goals are, the more important it is to prioritize your activities to have the highest return on investment. Does that make sense? Let's talk about that a little bit. You familiar with this 80-20 principle? I'll give you a little background on it, right? In 1940s, a gentleman by the name of Joseph Girard, and he documented a life-changing principle that he called the vital few and the trivial many. Right? The idea was that a small percentage of his effort led to the vast majority of his results. And he attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. And Pareto observed that 80% of the wealth in his country was owned by 20% of the population. And as fate would have it, the broadly embraced principle known as it didn't come to be known as Girard's law, unfortunately, but it became known as Pareto's principle. We just call it the 80-20 rule. But it came from an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto. But the idea is that 20% of our actions, they lead to 80% of our results. And it's one of the most powerful principles you can apply in your life because it's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about really maximizing your results and about having focus, right? If you know that 20% of the things that of your to-do list, 20% of those items are going to give you the greatest number of results, then we have to identify what those 20% items are. Does that make sense? Apply most of our time and make sure that in the limited time that we have, that we apply the things that are part of that 20% effort, right? Does anyone know what we mean by big rocks? Gary talks about that a bit. Big rocks. Anyone want to care to weigh in on what a big rock is? We have a chat box. Let's see what the chat box. 80-20, but no to big rocks.
Yeah, so Mark, in Bold, they taught us or told a story about putting your big rocks in the jar first so that all the sand and pebbles and everything else you put in the jar can take up the space around the big rocks.
That's right. Exactly. Right? If your day is a jar, if you think of your day as a jar, right, you put your big rocks in first. Right? Your big rocks are really your big ideas, the most things that need to happen that day. Those are your big rocks. You put those in the jar first. If you put the sand and gravel, you won't have any room for the big rocks. Because the big rocks are the most important activities of your day. Those are the activities that can't be skipped. The little rocks are distractions or smaller tasks. They may need to be done, but they're not going to really get you closer to your goal. So if you fill your day with little rocks, there's no room for the big rocks. So we always want to make sure we make time for those big rocks first. And those big rocks, as it pertains to our discussion and pertains to our business, are the activities that lead to the greatest results in our business. Right? Comes back to this. What's the one thing you can do right now, make everything else easier or necessary? That's the one thing, right? When we look at what successful agents do every day, what do you guys think? Where's the 20%?
Grow your business.
On the grow your business side, yeah. All the things on the grow your business side. Of all the things on your grow your business side, what's the one thing you could do that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Of those. What do you think, guys? Alice in the chat box with the answer. That's it, right? Lead generate for buyers and sellers. If we do an awesome job of for buyers and sellers, like ridiculous, right? This is all we do. We buyers and sellers, and do we have to make the listing presentations? Do we have to make presentations? Do we have to preview real estate to reach our income goals? We can offload everything. Think about it. So being kind of team focused is about, right? Does everyone have any ahas or any epiphanies from this? Care to share? Everyone gets the 80-20 principle? Everyone gets the big rocks versus little rocks, and the one thing? We're clear? All right. All right. Well, let's get to our roadmap here. The 411. You guys familiar with this lovely worksheet? You should be, because you're at Keller Williams Realty. One of the you encounter, right? One of the first tools that we use for success in our business. So it's kind of like a tool, right? We're going to tackle our big rocks and ensuring all our activities tie out to our big goals. And it kind of helps us. It helps us focus. So there is a digital copy in the toolkit, but this is one of those things that you may want to write out. So how do you use the 411 effectively? Well, basically you take one of those 5 rectangles from the vision when you envision your big life, right? that the exercise that we did earlier. You take one of those 5 rectangles to focus on for the activity. And while, I mean, all the elements of your big life is important, let's just select the one thing that's the most urgent, right? What's the one thing that will make other parts of their vision easier? Right, of the 5 we identified in that previous exercise in the beginning of class. Right, let's focus on one of those and let's try to figure out which one is the most important. And then what you need to do to achieve, right, to make this part of the big life possible, you need to understand what the income goals that we need to make. And that will be the annual goal top of the 411, right? And if you look at the get paid worksheet, the calculation, right, well, doing the minimum SPARK goals that, you know, will get you closer to your goal. And if you need to do more, then how much more? And based on that worksheet, right, how much will they need to make this year to stick to the goals? So then once we have our annual goals, you know, we want to down to monthly. And what are we going to do every week to make sure that our goals month are going to be accounted for? And then you use the calculation to break down how many transactions you have in order to happen. And then the number of transactions, right? If you have whatever that number is, 10 transactions or 20 transactions, we had our calculation. My example had 16 and a half transactions. I know that to get 16 and a half transactions, I may have to go on at least, let's say double, 33 or 34 appointments. Once you understand how many appointments you need to go on, then you can get really clear about the goals that you have for your lead generation sessions, right? How many appointments every week do you need to make that monthly goal? So if my annual goal is 10.5 transactions, I have to do at least maybe a little more than 1 transaction every month. In order to do that, I need to have at least 4 a little more than 1. So let's make that up to 2. 2 transactions, I'm going to need at least 4 appointments. What those appointments are, those aren't showing appointments, those aren't the fulfilling appointments. These are, when we're talking about appointments, we're talking about appointments, the 2 appointments that bring us money. The appointment to take a listing appointment, or a buyer presentation where we secure the loyalty of the buyer throughout their buying process, right? So I'm going to need those every month. And if we break down to the week, which means I need to make at least 1 presentation, appointment, or 1 presentation every week. If I make 1 buyer presentation or 1 listing appointment every week, there's a good chance that I'm going to get my goals. One appointment a week. You guys think that's doable? Lead generating 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, is 1 appointment a week doable? What do you guys think? Yeah, Phil says yes. Everyone agree with 1 a week? 1 a week equals $300,000 a year. How much of us are making $300,000 a year? All we need to do is take one appointment a week, right? Now, that number is going to vary for everybody, obviously, with your level of experience and how well you deliver your presentations. And as you get more experience, you're going to be better and your closing ratio is going to be better. Right now, you know, if you're new, your closing ratio might not be as great. You may need to take another appointment to reach those goals. But if we need one appointment to make the 300K a week, I mean, how hard is it to get another one? You guys are thinking you're going to make goal this, you know, on Monday, we're going to go surfing. Why not? That's why we do these things. Real estate's a highly leveraged business. We do these things so we can focus a short amount of time, make a lot of money, and then do what we really want in our free time. Have a lot of it to do that in. The better you get at it, the more focused you are, the more your money you'll make with a little less time. It'll free up more time. So if I have to one appointment a week, I know that I'm going to have to generate leads or spend time calling people and asking for referrals. So once I have that goal clear in mind, and time block the amount of time I'm going to spend to generate the lead every week and what activities that I'm going to do. Now, Alice says, what about introvert? Being social to lead gen is exhausting. Well, let's talk about that. Is there one way to lead generate, guys? What is, let's talk about that. What is lead gen? Anyone? Lead generation is simply to people, you can identify those that want to buy or sell real estate. If you're talking to people, how else can you reach out to people? Is there more than one way? Pick up the phone. Phone's easy. It's already included. You're already paying for it, I'm sure. You have one. Pick up the phone and use it. But is that the only way to lead generate? Videos. If you're an introvert, how else can you lead generate? Farming, marketing, spending money. If you have it, of course, that's legit. Farming is a legitimate operation system. Some of the top 8 at the Outfront magazine, and you see the guys at the top teams, all those guys farm. They do. So the only thing about farming, what do you think? Is farming cost effective for new agents? What are the costs involved in farming? If you have the war chest, that's a great method to lead generate. It's very effective. Door knocking. Door knocking for introverts is going to be a challenge. If you can't pick up the phone, are you going to knock on the door? Maybe. We'd reach out to people. How about social media? Can we offer our services in Messenger? Good. Really, when we're lead generating and we're talking about conversions or conversations, we're really looking for two-way conversation, right? You make a request from someone, they respond, you respond, they respond. Now you have a dialogue. You count that as a call. You count that as an interaction, right? You know how many interactions you're going to need to get an appointment. So that way you know very clearly how many times you need to reach out to people. And if you have your systems down, it's going to be, I mean, it gets to a point to where it's, so I know I need to message 100 people. I'm going to message 100 people, 30 respond. Out of those 30, I should get 1 or 2 referrals. So you have the system. So you know, okay, I need business, I need to reach X people, and this is what comes out the end of the machine. Does that make sense? How many interactions do you need for 1 appointment? Right, according to the average, they say 2, but I would say that it's going to depend on your skills as well, right? If we're working on our presentation skill, and a lot of, you know, half of winning the presentation is being in front of the right client. So how to qualify and make sure if you're qualifying people properly and making presentations to only the most motivated, you're going to have a higher ratio of closing. So we get very on the 411. Does anyone have any questions on the 411? All right, the 411 is here as a reminder of your goals and a reminder of what you need to do every day to achieve those goals, right? This is something that I'll tell you, it's not set in stone. What's written, it's not set in stone. This could change every day on a daily basis. So once you write it down and you go through the exercise when you're planning your business, understand that, you know, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to reevaluate. Maybe you're blowing it out of the water and you already have 4 or 5 appointments for the month. That's a good thing, right? If you realize that you're able to generate more appointments, what is that going to do to your goals? What is that going to do to your squares around your bubble? Those could all change. You may think, wow, this lead generation really, instead of donating $20,000 to Unravel Pediatric Cancer, I really want to donate $100,000 to Unravel Pediatric. Now let's change everything in our 411. Let's change our business plan to meet that goal. Because to only donate $25,000, I only needed 1 appointment, right? But I got 3 this week. Maybe I could do, and that'll change. Right. The reality, though, is the life of a successful agent is very repetitive, right? You know the routine, you got the routine, it produces the results you need, the life you want. And often that's enough to love it, right? Some people love the grind. Once you're, you know, seeing the work pay off, good chance you'll love the grind too. You'll enjoy systems and skills and competing. But that'll never love the grind, and that's okay too. Doesn't mean you're doomed to fail. Right? Even those that find that you love the grind, you're always going to have a day where you need a little more push to motivate yourself. Right? Even the most motivated come into stumbling blocks. You run into walls. Sometimes don't go your way. You get irrational listings that don't sell. It happens to all of us. Right? The more you do, the more it could happen. So that might feel a little silly at first, but actually it's a career, building a career worth having and a business worth owning and a life worth living. Right? You need to have affirmations in your life to help us kind of break through those barriers. Right? So let's create a little ritual for ourselves by creating an affirmation around the big life that you've envisioned for yourself that can help you in those moments. All right, think back to your big life and the goals that you set for yourself. And think about one of those people or the causes that you named as something you care deeply about. All right, and you're going to use that person or thing to create an affirmation. And you're going to say that affirmation aloud whenever you begin a new task. Right? And the key to and a good affirmation is to be very specific, right? And tie the activity to the goal and remind yourself of why you're working. Now, let's say, you know, for example, right? Let's say your goals is that, say you have aging parents and You want to take care of them at the end, right? Make their life. So you want to pay their house off. I want to pay off my dad's house. He owes 600 grand. That'd be great to be able to pay that off. So the affirmation would be, for instance, right? I make to provide for my parents by paying off their house because they provided for me, and I want to show my appreciation to them. Right? Make your effort bigger than just you. Make your effort your goals. I make all to support unravel pediatric cancer by helping families deal with the timely deaths of young children because I want to reduce suffering. Right? When you're working for something bigger than yourself, it's a trick to motivate yourself to push through those barriers when you see them, right? There could be a little difference in your feeling when you're making those 3 calls and when you're just doing it for yourself or you're doing it to help others. Or you're feeling your parents to feel secure. Or you're doing it for your kids to get the best education possible. How differently will those calls go? How differently could your business look? Any volunteers that would like to share some affirmations that they created here through our little exercise? Does everyone understand the exercise? Who wants to share? Give me 1 or 2 people to share. Unmute yourselves, please, and share. Now, Alice suggested a daily affirmation of I can do it, which is good, but remember, we want to be specific. You can do what? What can you do? And it's not that you can do what, it's why are you doing it is what we're looking for. Right, so let's go back to those squares that we had in the previous exercise, right? Where we wrote down things that are important to us and how much money they're going to cost to fulfill those items of importance. All right, go. See, in mine, I had charity, $100,000 unravel pediatric cancer. I had private school for my daughters, 20 European vacation, and then my wife and kid, they've been bugging me for a pool for years. Right, so let's say I want to do something for them. I want to earn enough so that I can build a pool in our backyard. So let's use the pool to make information. Okay. I'm making these calls, or I'm going to be making calls in order to generate income, provide a pool for my wife and daughter so that they can enjoy next summer in the comfort of our own home. I'm making the calls for them today. You guys get it? Anyone want to share? Show and tell, guys. It's okay, there's no wrong answers. Are we scared to share? No one's going to judge you. What are we doing? Why we do it? Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. Right? Without just wishes. We're more likely to do what we said we're going to do if we know we must answer to someone. Right? I challenge y'all to find an accountability partner. In fact, look at the participants in the course and think about who you want to contact to be an accountability partner. That you want to share your 411s in each other, identify your goals, monthly goals and weekly goals, and then in your calendar time to check each other and discuss the progress for 411. Doing coaching as well. But if you're not ready for coaching, for whatever reason, it's still very powerful to have an accountability partner. I know that's one thing we learned in Bold. If you've gone through Bold before, they give you a group to work in, and you have your team and your group to report your numbers every day. And if you don't report your numbers, or if you don't do what you said you were going to do, you're looking at 9 people that you promised that you were going to do these things for the good of the team. How does it feel when you don't do it, when you have other people counting on you? Thank you guys for all your hard work today and for joining me on this class. And hopefully you guys feel a little more empowered with how to identify and strive for your goals and identify your big life. Does anyone have any ahas from today's session that they'd like to share? And we talked about envisioning your life. We talked about, we did the exercise to help us come up with the big number to achieve what we like to achieve. Any ahas on those exercises? Anyone come any realizations? Anyone like to share? Everyone must be asleep. Hello? Anyone like to share? Grace? Melissa? Melissa shares a lot. Grace shared a lot. Alice shared a lot. Who are we going to call on? We call on someone? I don't want to put you guys on the spot if you're not ready, though. It's a good thing we're not in a live class.
Hi, Mark.
I'd throw erasers. Who's that?
Hey, this is Grace.
Grace. Any ahas?
Yeah, I think we can sing, but there's no action. We're not.
Yeah, I can barely.
Okay, we could do all the exercise and how much transaction we want to do, but if we do not set up a time block.
I still can't hear a word you're saying. It's
You
coming,
cannot?
Grace, I'm sorry,
Okay.
it's coming through very mumbled. Are you typing a chat? There's a chat. Yeah, chat. All right, prospecting every day, really need to.
Can you hear me okay?
Ah, now better. Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to say it's because we have been through different training classes. They all have a similar stuff, but the drop off of those class are not continue on. It's we get excited when we have a class, we set up a goal, but we're not consistent doing lead generation. We have to set aside times, whatever number we feel comfortable. 1 hour, half an hour, practice script and start working on the number. Because I think since this week, we started having this spark. I have been making more calls, and I have one seller yesterday say he's moving. He told me he's at the Reno, and he asked me, you have to see my home. I say, okay, great. When you're coming back to the area? End of August. So I kind of get a future appointment at the end of August, and it's really just keep doing what we plan to do.
Good. Very good. So the calls that you're making is resulting in business and appointments. Outstanding.
Future appointment. It's
Future
not.
appointments.
Yeah, future. So my puzzle is how many calls we need to make, or how many hours will result optimal. Let's set up, say, 100,000 cap. How many hours usually should make calls, or any other quantitative? So I say, oh, I reached my goal.
So if it's 100,000, right? For 100,000, how many? If your average take home is 20 grand, if you want to make 100, you have to do five.
Five a day?
Five transactions to make 100,000. It's five transactions.
5 transactions. Yes.
To get five transactions, you need 10 appointments. Or that's going to change depending on your closing ratio, right? If you get half the people to work with you, then you need to have 10 appointments to get 5 transactions.
10 appointments.
So however, you're going to call however long it takes to get those appointments. Now, it's throughout the year. So if you're calling and you're making appointments tomorrow and you set 2, then you can either adjust your goal because you're going to hit it faster, right? Maybe make a higher goal, or take more time off because you reach your goal faster. Whatever's more important to you. That's whatever your big why is. One of the activities I shared for kind of determining that big why, do it, to take your goal, right? If you understand what your goal is for a year to achieve the things you want to achieve, and you happen to really, and you take that 1 year and you achieve 6 months in the year. How are you going to spend your time? And you know, whatever the answer to that question is really going to be your big why. That's going to, you know, to have the time to do the things you really want to do. So that when you maybe make 5 or 6 calls and 5 or 6 people hang up on you, or they say some unpleasant things and tell you to go away, you know, you have to have something in your brain that'll take you through those barriers. You know, sometimes you go through those barriers face first. And that hurts. But you got to do it in order to get what you want. And then as you get better, you learn to duck your head and hit it with the top of your head, which is harder. It doesn't hurt as much as you. And then you get really good and you start punching through barriers. That happens when you have consistency in your business. And you get, when I talked earlier about loving the grind, when you're loving the grind, then you're really pushing through those barriers. But that takes time to develop, and you just have to start and create the habit of doing it on a regular basis, consistently every day. So let's recap a little bit about what we went through today, right? How has our thinking changed? What ideas or mindset has anyone's thinking changed? Did anyone get a new perspective from our class today? There's something you might feel differently about or meaningful about? Right? How will our behavior be different going forward? Actions are you going to take going forward from today's class? How are we going to take what we learned about building our goals and getting focused to actions either today or down the road? And then what tools, models, or systems, how are they going to make you accountable? Think about that accountability. You want to get with an accountability partner. That's probably the least expensive way to get that accountability. Just team up with someone and hold each other accountable. And for a more professional service, there's coaching. There's coaching available at both offices from myself or Roberta, your team leaders as well. Feel free to reach out. We're happy to provide that outlet. Right, Grace said calls now will be easier to make those calls, and she'd like to have an accountability partner. Grace is a go-getter. She's doing transactions for sure. You know, I review them every week. Looking for accountability partner. It's a good chance for someone to connect with Grace and help each other to hold each other accountable to achieve the goals that you'd like to achieve. See, Grace said, Dan, make your connection. It'll be easier if we were in a classroom right now, guys, because you just turn it up real quick. But we're in the Zoom, so we're gonna face that challenge however we can. Daily success habits. What are the things we have to do every day? That grind that I was talking about, right? What are those things that we have to do every day to goals that we want to set for, that we set for ourselves? What are our daily habits? Building our database, practicing our scripts. That's what this business is all about. Want to build our database to have more people to connect with and more people to call. Right? Grace said she learned to smile to practice. Diana said she always keeps a big smile up and exercises every day. That's always a good way to start the day. The endorphins start going, brain starts functioning a little better. All the oxygen and exertion that you put through exercising habit or ritual that you want to take on a regular basis. Right? The 10-4. Don't forget about the 10-4. We're looking to add 10 content, 10 conversation. We want to have our 10 handwritten notes, and we want to preview 10 homes per week so we know our market. How can we add 10 contacts? Right? If we're calling someone in already a contact, how do we add 10 contacts to our sphere? How do we add 10 contacts to our sphere? Ask for referrals, right? We can advertise, run some ads through command on Facebook. Those will generate leads. Following up on leads, Facebook leads, right? By following up with them, reach out, make contact, invite them to be part of our inner circle, invite them to be part of our database. Get their permission to receive your communication. App. I have a great app. Let me put it on your phone so you can look at properties wherever you are, whatever reason. Neighborhood update. Are you a homeowner? Would you like to feel secure about the value of your home? Get their permission and their contact information. Now you add them to your database. Mr. Homeowner, are you happy with the information we're providing? Do you find it useful? Yes. Who else do you think would find it useful? And get ready to get the referral. And then reach out, right? After every conversation, we have, when I make a habit of making a handwritten note. Why is the handwritten note important? Anyone care to guess? I'm still awake. Anyone care to guess? Why is a handwritten note important?
Stay
Melissa.
top of mind.
That's right. Top of mind. The study, top of mind, you get 3 days. 3 days. So when you make a call, you're going to be top of mind for the person you connect with for the next 3 days. So if they come across wants to buy or sell a house, if you've done a good job asking for referrals and training them, they will think of you in the next 3 days. 10 days, 12 days later, do they forget about you completely? No, they still know who you are and what you do, but you no longer have that top of mind share. Coworker casually suggests, hey, I looked at open homes this week. You know, if you had called that person this morning and their coworker just told them open home, click in their mind and know the chances of you getting that referral are huge. But then 10 days, 12 days later, you no longer have that top of mind. So although that knows what you do and that you want the referral, when their coworker tells them they went to open homes, they're not really thinking of you anymore. And that chance of that referral, they're still, but it's exponentially less. So by adding that handwritten note, you add another 3 days, right? It takes 2 or 3 to get there. You have your conversation, you earn 2 or 3 days of mind share, you reinforce it with a handwritten note and some business cards, you get 3 more days. You do it. Those 3 days are powerful. Really, guys, think about it. Everyone knows someone that's going to buy or sell a house this year. Everyone.
Excuse me, Mark, this is Diana. What's the meaning of home preview per week?
So home previewing is going out and looking at homes that are for sale in the market. And that for our own knowledge and market knowledge, so we know what to offer. You know, if we go on listing presentations, we know what the market's bearing, we know what's available and what it's selling for.
But if there's no open house now, how can we do that?
Well, if there's no open houses, we're professionals. We have the realtor keys. We can go look at homes. Outside of COVID, of course, you just call the listing agent. If it's vacant, you go, follow the showing instructions. Home previewing is usually a very welcome practice. If you're good at it, when you get good at it, you preview homes for your clients. You know, you can go through 20 houses in a couple of hours. When you're showing your clients 20 houses, it'll take you 3 days. So when you're previewing, you preview homes to if you're working with buyers, you only want to show them 3 or 4 homes at a time. So if you're starting with 40 possibilities, you take that 40, maybe break the 10 best ones, then you those 10 best ones and pick the 3 or 4 that their clients are likely to buy. That way, when you're taking your clients out on property tour, they're selecting which one to buy. They're not just right away when they come in. Because when they do that, they'll discount 5 or 6 in a row. The rest of your property tour is a waste of time. So it's very important, when you're working with buyers, that if you're offering a high level of service, of course, right? You're only showing them homes they really want to buy. And you only do that by A, listening to their wants and needs, and then B, physically to meet their needs so that you're not wasting their time. And then also for yourself, right? Just for motivation. A lot of times I go through a home and I'll see something really cool and it'll remind me of someone in my database and I'll call them about it. And that could lead to a transaction. I have a gentleman in my database. He has a townhouse that he loves. I know that he had another child, so he's growing out of that townhouse. And the thing he loves about his townhouse is the view. So if I'm out previewing a home and I see a home with a nice view, I call him right away. That's why you preview the homes. Inspiration, to know your market, and then to help your buyers save time. Any other questions, concerns, or ideas around the subject?
Thank you, Mark.
So Alice says that do you recommend to strive to preview homes during COVID? You know, I would say that not personally, physically, not like we used to. But you still want to spend some time. I would spend some time on the and go through the virtual 3D tour for sure, instead of maybe viewing them in person. Sometimes with the wide angle lenses and the HDR camera, if you just go through the picture tours, they may give you the wrong idea. There's a lot of creative that needlessly are creative, in my opinion. I mean, if you're showing a room that's oversized in a picture and clients are in that big room, they come into the house and they see it small, they're not going to buy it. They're going to be mad at you and they're going to leave. So your goal of getting the house sold is not achieved. Opinion, take high quality, and make it look beautiful, of course, but don't embellish what's not there. People do. That's why people do, right? That's why we have to go and preview homes. But I think that while technology with Matterport and those more accurately represent the property online, and just being the way things are going today, and most new listings that I'm seeing have that. So I would say, no, don't preview in person, but spend time to look on the MLS, view the homes virtually. I'll give you that same inspiration. All right. Let's not forget our scripts. Right? Why is it important to learn, internalize, and personalize? Help you go through problems. Number one, rating. You want to have scripts to help you take people down the path. What is your goal while you're lead generating? Are you adding people to your database? What's the right script to get people to your database? What's the biggest benefit of being part of your database? Identify that and be able to express that. The right scripts to help uncover motivations. And really, those scripts are questions, right? The scripts of questions to help you qualify and uncover the motivation of clients. Right? When are you looking to buy? How big of a house do you need? I need 4 bedrooms. Okay, 4 bedrooms. Why is that important? And uncover what they're looking for. We need more space. Our family is growing. Or our kids are off to college. We don't need so much space. Or there's a life change. We're getting divorced. To uncover those motivations. The scripts to uncover motivations. You have to understand the scripts to help you through the closing process, right? How do you identify objections? What's the best way to overcome objections? There is a way. There's a script for that. Remember, we want to isolate the objection first. Mr. Seller, other than my commission, is there any other reason why you wouldn't hire me to sell your house today? Or Mr. Buyer, carpet, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to make an offer on this house today? No, Mark, it's just this crazy carpet. I hate blue. If this house had tan carpet, I'd totally buy this house. Fantastic. What would it take to get a tan carpet into $5,000? Sounds good. If I can get the seller to give us $5,000 for a new carpet, would we make an offer and buy this house? Yes, fantastic. Right? Do the scripts to help you close deals. And sometimes we need scripts, obviously, to speak terms that the customer understands. I know a lot of times we get into our acronyms and we start talking in acronyms to people that might, which does us no good. So it's very important that so we can speak to them and that they can understand. And then scripts also build confidence. One of the biggest reasons people don't reach out is because they don't know what to say. They're not confident in what to say and how to say it. And the only way to overcome that, there's only one way. Anyone want to guess how to overcome? Not knowing what to say or how to say? Go ahead. Please, someone was going to speak, please.
Practice.
Practice. Very good, Dana. That's it. Practice. The more we practice, the better we get, the better we get, the better the results will be. So if you don't necessarily say, we went through a basic what to say as far as calling our dates, right? The basic Ford script. It's something that you should practice. Practice with your accountability partner. Through a Ford script back and forth before you start your calls. Now we're going to get this lovely breakout sessions going next week. Learn how to do that the best way so we can kind of break out and do some script practice amongst each other. I think next week, we always have to cover ourselves with our compliances, right? Be sure that when you guys are calling, that you're calling the people you're supposed to be calling that want to hear from you. And if compliances of do not call list. Anyone in your database that you can call them even if they're on the list. Anyone you've done business with, you can totally call them even if they're on the list. 18 months, unless they specifically request to be removed off your list. Anyone that's made any inquiries on any of your advertising, they're good to be called for 3 months, even if they're on the do not call list, unless they specifically ask you to remove yourself, right? Going up on a Facebook, notice that you commented on my Facebook post about this property I'm listing. Are you interested in making a move? And understand, guys, when you're getting leads, especially like Facebook leads, leads that come off a website, you're going to need to contact 4 times before you get them, on average. With those things, guys, don't be afraid to call until they tell you to stop. I know a lot of times in my life, I just get busy and I have intentions of transacting or doing something, but I just get busy and it's not maybe a high priority in my life, but when the salesman calls me and offers it to me and I know I've needed to do it, but I just haven't done it, I actually appreciate it. They bring us something that I really intended at some point back into focus. And that's what you're doing when you're making these calls a lot of times. You know, even if you're calling someone and they don't necessarily reciprocate your call, unless they tell you to specifically stop calling, but they appreciate it because it reminds them. And eventually you're going to connect and the path that you can help them down. Does anyone need any help with their script? Would anyone like any specific feedback? Does anyone have any?
Between you and a friend. Also, if you have specific ones that you like to use for sellers and buyers.
All right. So how's the market? That's a big question. Big question. That's a question you're going to hear everywhere, right? As soon as you're at a party, if you're, and this goes, COVID's over, right? If you're at a social setting, you're in a party, ask people what they do, they ask you what you do. You tell a real estate agent, what's the first thing they say? How's the market? Every time, almost every time. So this is a very important script that you're going to want to understand and then apply to help you get a referral or instill confidence in that prospect. Right? How do we normally, when people ask, how would you respond now? How's the market? How's the market?
Hot.
The market's hot. It's true. Market is hot. How does that affect me as a buyer? What's it going to do for me?
Right. So I've kind of dealt with this a couple of times where I find myself maybe over talking or kind of stumbling, and I start talking about micro markets and I start talking about the interest rates. And what I'd like to do, I haven't found like a 1 or 2 liner script per se, and I would like to kind of clean that conversation up, I guess.
Okay. So as far as, there's always the shorter or long answer, right? If you just reply with the market's hot, unbelievable. And then where does it go from there? It's very difficult to progress that into a lead generating from a simple answer. You can follow it up with a question, of course, right? Oh, the market's pretty hot. Are you interested, or are you interested in the market? Are you interested in buying or selling in the next year or two? Simple. Right. If you're talking to someone that you know that's important to you, you may want to send a reminder of their importance and that you have time for them. Because if you're saying all the time how crazy or how busy you are, the prospect may think that you don't have enough time for them, right? So this is a script I got from Joe Stumpf, which is the buy referral only system. And his response was, and I like it. I use it. The market's going really well. Things are, properties are moving, and we're keeping pretty busy. But just wanted to assure you that in the event that you have a need to transact in the real estate market, that I will absolutely make time to help you or anyone you refer, because you're important to me. Something along those lines, to let them know that you'll have time. And then why do you ask? Are you curious about? No, I'm just curious about the market. Are you a homeowner? No, I don't own a home. Would you like to? Are you thinking about becoming a homeowner in the next couple of years? You can be more direct. This line works for almost any. It's like, hey, I've identified a couple of properties in this neighborhood that are really good value. Do you know what is looking to buy? What are home buyers looking for? Everyone wants a good deal. I have two good, that wants to buy a home. Does that make sense? The other way you can answer it is to fulfill it with a market segment that is necessary. How's the market? Oh, the market's going really well with one exception. We have an imbalance right now in the market. We have way more buyers than sellers, which is causing, obviously, prices to go a certain direction, which is really cool. But the problem is we don't have enough sellers in the marketplace, and I'm looking for sellers to bring to market. Do you know anyone that wants to sell their home next 3 months? Hi, how's the market? It's going well with one exception. We have so much inventory over the past 2 weeks, economic struggles, that homes are sitting on the market longer than they should, and there's sellers out there that really need to move. Who do you know that wants to buy a house in the next 3 months? I know I can get them a great deal. So no matter which way the market is, hot or cold or whatnot, it's always going well. Because for you, whether the market or not, it should always be going well. There's always a path to prosperity, whether the market's hot or not. Whether the prices are going, to us, it's as broadly irrelevant. The most relevant statistics for us is transaction numbers. Are people moving? Whether it goes up and down, to us doesn't matter. As long as people are moving, that's what fuels our business. So whether the prices are up or down, it's irrelevant. It's still going well. How's the market? For me, it's going well. But this is the whole. Or it's going well, and you're important. So I'll always make time to address it. Make sense? Have I answered your question, Melissa?
Yes, that was great. Thank you.
All right. Any other concerns, questions, revolving scripts?
So people are asking right now, market will go down. Should we wait? Or the way economy is going on, recession is coming nearby. We want to hold. We are not interested to buy right now.
I know there's a lot of interesting news coming out about and the economy. You know, what I see today in the market is we have very low interest rates, with being, you know, right around 3%. The money's almost free. So I appreciate that. Yes, the market will fluctuate in the future. It's going to move either one way or the other. But what we know is that interest is low, making homes incredibly affordable. If you want to wait 6 months, I can appreciate that, but just be aware, even though the prices may be a little, the interest rates will undoubtedly be much higher, because that's what's going to drive prices down. Properties, even though they're cheaper, they're going to be more, the lower price, they're really going to be more expensive down the road. So if your outlook is to be in your property long-term, you're buying a home, family, you're going to be there for the next 10, 15 years, right now, the best time to make that move, because the interest rates are so low that 15, 20 years down the road, you're going to have a great majority, your payments are going to be lower, and you're going to have more income to either pay the home.
That's great.
Either way, it's going to be more affordable for you to make, in my opinion.
That's
When would you like to look at home? Right? People are always going to have their assessment of what's going to happen in the future. Unless you have a crystal ball and the Swami, you're going to look into the thing and let them know. You let me know too. But really, that doesn't exist, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the future. The market could go up, could go down. So I recommend always bringing things back to the now and bringing it back to the reason of the day. Why are people buying? And we know today, why are people buying? Well, number one, a lot of people in our area still are working despite the pandemic, right? The engineers that can afford to buy these 1.5 million first-time home buyer properties, they're still at work. They're still getting paid. So our market's still being driven. And those folks need a place to live. Those folks may be living in apartments or maybe living in condos, and they don't want to be sheltered in place in apartments, their homes, which is why I think right now the South Bay is going nuts. Can't get anyone to look at my listing in San Francisco. That just is what it is. Anyone have any other scenarios for us they'd like to share? Need help with?
Why I should hire a buyer agent? I can go directly and work with the listing agent.
Absolutely, you can. You absolutely can. However, you have to understand the listing agent is representing best interest, and he went in to the seller and made them a promise when he listed their house that they was going to get the money possible. Do you think that they're conflict of interest working directly with the listing agent? Are they going to work to uncover all the of the property that could be deficient, things that could cost you money down the road? Are they going to recommend the inspections that really need to be made for those hard discussions that need to be made with the seller? Or are they going to just railroad you through the... You see, in my opinion, it's very important for a buyer to be properly represented, because if you have an agent that can sell you any home, they're not forced, or they're not going to be trying to sell you every specific home. It makes the home process much more pleasant when you're not being closed on every property that you see. Because it knows that, hey, if you don't pick one today, you're going to pick one tomorrow. Creates a better experience. When it's time to represent your interests, you have a party that is working on your behalf to get you possible, because theoretically they want to create a relationship with you for life. So they have to do an excellent job in helping you buy your home. Because, I mean, I'll be honest with you, if I just sell you a house, I'm not really going to feed my family this year. It'll help, but I really need your help. I really need you to refer me to your coworkers and friends. Then I'll be able to have an adequate Bay Area life. So in order to do that, provide acting service in order to earn that referral. So if you allow me the opportunity that we can establish that relationship, I work tirelessly to get my clients the best possible deal. I network with agents that are looking. Most times, I find deals that are not even on the market. In order for me to be put to work for you in that behalf, in order for me to work on your behalf, I need a commitment from you that you're going to be there when I present the deal. Is that fair? Like you're telling me, Mr. Buyer, I'm looking for this, and this price. I'm going to spend the next 20 to 30 hours finding it for you. We can save you a lot of time. And plus my network of agents, I'll bring you homes that will never even cross your radar because they'll be sold before they get on the market. That's the best deals. The best deals? You work with me. I don't know how many times, you can always tell a scary story. I've had, people call me for my help. Unfortunately, they call, it's a little late. They went to the open house. They fell in love with the remodel. The listing agents hard on this house because they want to double in the commission. They had to fight tooth and nail just to get a termite inspection. The termite inspector said what they've been, underneath beautifully remodeled bathrooms is all rotten. That's what happens when you work directly with the listing agent. They need to sell you. They don't give a shit. But you happen to call them 2 months later, the house is already sold. Sure, you can sue them. But, if they're an independent with no brokerage, it's one thing. It's Coldwell Banker. It's a whole other thing if it's A&B Realty. They might not be free to sue after. In the meantime, you got rooms in a rotten kitchen you spend $1 million on. If you don't want those problems, you need an adequate buyer representation. We look for these things and make sure that you're not buying a home that's going to crumble apart beneath the surface. Because we represent you. Because I know I need to sell this house in 5 years. Because that's the relationship I like to business. Right? I don't want to sell you a bad house because I know that I'm going to need to sell this house to somebody else down the road. That makes sense? Did I adequately answer your question?
Yes,
Okay,
that is satisfactory answer. Yeah. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you guys for joining me today. I appreciate you very much. I had a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun teaching these classes. I learned so much. And I know for myself, it really gets my business going. And the past week of just teaching and bringing these courses to you has really affected my business and bringing. So I'm hoping that taking this time is beneficial for you and your business and bringing more leads to you.
Hey, Mark,
Yes, Alice.
we have a few more chats on the chat box.
Okay. Let's work it. How do you approach homes that are facing a notice of default? Well, that's a tough one in a sense because it's an unpleasant question. Let me ask you this: how are you getting there? How do you know they're facing a notice of default? Are they friends of yours? Hey, we're in trouble, or are you generating a list of NODs and following it, calling strangers? That's two different.
It's from the list of the NODs.
Okay. So yeah, if you're calling a list of NODs, right, you're kind of a relative stranger, and people might be a little concerned with how in the world you know that they're in big financial trouble. But we all know that it's all public record, right? Which is how you got the list to begin with. So I would say that you want to approach those with a little bit of compassion, because you know that people are going through some problems, but you also want to present yourself as a solution to those problems so that they don't exacerbate in problems. I would be very direct and let them know why you're calling, just in the sense that you provide help to people that are in financial problem. And that's how I would present that. My name is Alice with Keller Williams Realty, with a niche in helping people recover from financial setbacks. So if you've ever had like a notice of default, or maybe lost your job, or need help with a deferment and tackling your problem, that's something I have expertise in. Is that something you need help with? Like, you know, they have an NOD, but they don't know you know. But when you call them and offer them help as an expert to be a solution to a problem they might have. Now, I mean, no matter what, more than 90% of them are going to hang up on you. There's no magic. There's no, when we're talking about cold calling people, there's no magic to 100% conversion. It doesn't exist. So as long as you understand that initially, then after you get past that, then it's just a matter of being repetitive and making the number of calls, and it's going to be your salvation there, to know that, okay, I know that maybe money will have one, you hit those dots. But I would offer up myself as an expert, as a solution to a problem that they're currently experiencing. It's like, by the way, it applies to you, but I'm a real estate professional and I specialize in helping people. Are you having any issues? Yes or no? Well, yes, Alice, we're having issues. Fantastic. Let's sit down and talk. Do an appointment to then fulfill. One thing that you guys want to do, making calls to generate appointments. Sometimes we like to skip the gun and conduct the appointment right there and then. That's not the goal. And really, that, because right now you're in lead generation mode. You're not in close the sale mode. Your mojo going for generating those. So really, you want to keep those lead generation conversations to less than 3 minutes, because we want to move through to the next one. Then you have your calendar and you have your open appointments, right, that are needed to be filled. So when you're making those calls, we're looking to fill those appointment times, not to conduct the appointment. So you present yourself as a solution to their problem. When would be a good time for us to sit down for 30 minutes and discuss your problem in detail? Because they're not right now, they're not prepared to discuss their problem in detail. You're not prepared to receive their specific problem in detail. If you offer up an appointment, maybe later that night or maybe the next day, I wouldn't far out. You want to conduct this appointment within the next 40 or so day, because you're going to do it via Zoom or via phone. You just want the permission to block the time, right? This is an important conversation. It's going to take about 30 to 45 minutes. Unfortunately, I only have another 5. Let's schedule a time where we can get together and discuss your very important concerns and schedule a cold call. Then when you get to the appointment, you'll have time to prepare, background search, you'll know how much money they owe, you'll know exactly what problem they're in, so that you're prepared to offer your solution. Does that work?
Yes, thank you, Mark.
Okay, good. All right, our chat box here, I think, scroll through real quick. Yeah. Well, if you guys are good, I'm good. 11:05. Chance to spend the next hour making some calls and trying to connect with people, book an appointment or two. identify some time next week where you'll appointment or over the weekend. Now, if you guys have buyer appointments Saturday, Sunday, and you guys have listing appointments already scheduled for Tuesday, go ahead and take the day off. But if we're not already booked for the weekend and we don't have any listing appointments, I encourage you to take the next hour and try to reach out to 10 people and see if you can find a referral to fill an appointment slot. Like if you're not showing property Saturday or Sunday afternoon, try to schedule an appointment to talk to someone about buying a home during that time. Schedule a Zoom call for a buyer consultation. Schedule a Zoom call for a listing consultation. And then tell me about it on Monday. Right, guys, what are we working on Monday? Obviously our appointments, but we're going to be back together for another Ignite session. Session 5. I'm sorry, Ignite Spark session 5 is what we had today. We're going to Ignite Spark session 6, delivering your value proposition, which is a good one. We talked a little bit about delivering a value proposition in the scripts that we've uncovered today. Delve a lot more deeper into developing a value proposition and then delivering your value proposition. So that's something to look. I think that'll be a great class. Your value proposition is going to be your elevator speech of why someone needs to work with you. Anybody else? What things are you going to bring to the table? How are you going to make their transaction awesome? So we'll look forward to seeing you guys on mid-late at 9 a.m. It's okay. We'll do our class and we'll have the breakout rooms. So we'll do actually script practice a little bit. And then do our best to get back to it and get on our grind. Generate appointments.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, Melissa.
I was wondering if you might be able to hang back with me and have a quick discussion about analysis paralysis that I've been experiencing. And anyone who wants to hang back and be part of the discussion is welcome. It doesn't have to be private.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's do that.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So I'm good. This sounds good. Thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you. And Alice and Grace and Wei and Sham. I appreciate you guys through. Both Alice's. And we'll see you all on Monday for delivering our value proposition. In the meantime, Melissa, let's talk about your analysis paralysis. What's going on?
Great. Thank you, Mark. So one of the limiting beliefs, drunk monkeys that I've been facing with doing my lead generation is feeling, oh yeah, great. Yeah, of course, Alice. It's feeling kind of unprepared for the job once I get the yes. I'm almost afraid of the yes, almost like, I don't know how, maybe preemptive panicking, I guess. This week, one of the experiences I had was talking with some buyers that I've been helping kind of bring to a place where they're ready to get to buy. And I talked with Coach Roberta, and we talked about putting them on the MLS, like a drip, like a feed of properties. And immediately I was like, okay, I'm just going to go on YouTube and watch some videos. And that ended up being a much bigger, a longer experience than was probably necessary. I found myself overthinking things and then trying to figure out if I was doing it correctly. And do I do the map view or do I do this other one where I put these, I put the things in, but then it was only showing San Jose when I also wanted to show Palo Alto. Anyways, long story short, hours went by. I got to the place where I had the little check boxes. there was over like 80 something properties that I had to go through before sending. I got through a good 20 of them and was like, okay, well, you know what? I'll come back to this tomorrow and do another 20, and then, you know, and be able to send it by tomorrow evening. And then lost all of those, because when you exit that page and then go back, it was all gone. So I was like, okay, so that was a good hour of time lost. Anyway, so the point is, I keep finding myself wanting to perfect everything and learn everything before actually going after the clients.
So the paralysis is you need to master the process of going through a buy or sell.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because even just if I made a call right now after we hung up and they're like, yeah, that would be awesome. I am looking to buy, you know, I'm available to talk this afternoon or even tomorrow, then I'm going to be in panic mode of going through my buyer presentation and is it set up properly and where are the typos, and then dealing with how does command design work, and then, you know, kind of getting down to the wire. Alice and I actually did this with our script practice partners, where we each took an hour time and went through a buyer presentation. I originally scheduled it for 48 hours out, and then had to call my group of script practice partners and tell them, I'm going to need a lot more time. I can't even figure out how command design works, to go in there. And so anyways, my fear is getting the yes and then not being prepared for it, or thinking, okay, now's the time to go ahead and get prepared. And then it being more complicated than I expected.
Okay.
But yes, mastering, like you said.
So is it an issue of confidence, having a little bit of experience as to the process?
Oh,
How can we
sorry
get
for my
more
dog.
confidence in the process?
By doing it.
By doing it, right? So the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. But you don't want the person to suffer anything from your inexperience to begin with, right?
Exactly.
Come that. How can we overcome your experience for the specific transaction? What can we do?
I don't know. I feel like I need a cadaver to work on, you know, like I feel like I want to pay someone to be my guinea pig and go through the whole experience with them before, you know, I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I'm practicing on real people with really big decisions.
So that's interesting. You said you'd pay someone to be your big guinea pig. How much would you pay them to be your guinea pig?
You know, I'm not sure, because I feel like I have to make money in order to spend it first. So I find myself in that analysis paralysis, like analyzing each step, and then what do I do to move forward, which puts me back at the square one again.
Well, then what's the most important thing is to get the right?
To get the what?
To get experience.
Yes.
The most important thing is to get, right? It's your or experience in general. Is experience something that you can bring in from an outside source and apply to a situation?
Yes. So when I was going through the MLS debacle, I was like going over in my brain, like, who should I call about this? Alice Chin, actually, her and I sat down together, but we subscribe to different MLSs. So it was helpful to have a friend by my side while figuring it out. You know, I just kind of, I want to put together, like you talked about, leveraging out. So the grow your business side, the 20%, or the 20% side, is the stuff that you should be doing daily, and then the 80% is stuff that you can kind of leverage out or call on for help. I just wasn't sure. I got into that monkey mind of who do I call and then I got into the limiting belief of who am I going to bother with this MLS thing. And that's what led me to these hours spent with tutorials and videos, because I wasn't bothering anyone, but spending quite a bit of time.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like the paralysis is the delivery of the meat and potatoes, if you will, right? And if experience is something that we can use to get confidence, right? The more you do it, we want to pay a guinea pig to listen to take through this, right? Just to build that confidence. But experience is something you can also seek and bring in to the discussion, right? You have support system in your office that if you do have a buyer lead or a seller lead, you can always reach out to a support system to help you with that presentation. Now, I would say, you're a pretty new agent, right? And as far as transactional experience, have we had any transactions yet to go forward?
Not exactly. I helped another agent co-listing, but pretty much the majority of the transaction was taken care of. I kind of ran the open houses.
Okay. So we have some experience transactionally, but not a lot. That's something we need to earn or gain. I would suggest, if you have someone that you can rely on as a partner initially, maybe for your first 2 or 3 transactions. And I'm new to this office, so I don't know what systems they had in place. We're trying to get folks into production. But my own experience, right? My first listing appointments, I did not get the listing, just to say and how to say a lot of things that you're talking about. And the best solution or the easiest solution to that would have been to go through the office and grab the most and the best listing agent there was, grab them and say, hey, I have a listing presentation, come deliver it. I want to see how you do it. And let's get out of there with a signed listing. And then you have a person help you deliver that presentation. See, if you have someone that you're partner with, when you're lead generating, now you already know that, okay, I'm not responsible for delivering this presentation. I have someone that I know that is an expert. So let's book this appointment. My expert's going to help me get that experience. And then we can, and you'll do 2 or 3 transactions. You'll share the commission with the expert, but then you'll get the confidence so that your subsequent transactions, you're not going to need that. You'll go through it. You're going to pay a guinea pig. Well, don't pay a guinea pig. Maybe pay someone to help you, and they'll get paid out of the fulfillment. So you don't have to pay them up front. Better, right? You can leverage their expertise and help them, let them help you. And then, you share the commission as their compensation. So you're not out of pocket, for a coach that he doesn't bring you anything this month. You can do that later. And when you're making $50,000 a month, then, for that type of coaching. But until then, you want to, this is a solution. If you have someone that you trust, that will deliver an awesome presentation, it might make it easier for you to book those appointments. And the most important thing is getting those appointments booked. Right? We book those appointments. We get someone, if we're not comfortable ourselves, then we find someone who is. And I guarantee you that there's experienced agents in the office, myself included. Roberta's there. Hilda can point direction, and they will be able to help you, and they'll be happy to. Yeah. That make sense?
Yes, it did. I'm just kind of absorbing everything you're saying.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat because our numbers here are they're a little bigger. It's like one thing sharing a commission on a $200,000 property or in a $500,000 property, but we're sharing plus. So even if you give up half, you're still going to make at least 10 grand. And if you do like 2 of those a month, how's that? Pretty good, right? That scenario, you're not even going to be responsible for fulfilling everything. Just book the appointment. After that, you're not responsible for the process, and you have help.
So what's coming to mind now with this conversation is the book Think and Grow Rich. I believe it was Henry Ford. One of the stories in the book was about a man who basically had a team of people around him that were expertise in different fields, so he didn't have to become an expert in all these different fields.
Carnegie, yeah. That's Dale Carnegie. Or Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah.
One of those guys. Birds. They did a lot.
Well, yeah, it's been a while since I read the book. I probably need to reread it.
But no, yeah, for sure. You have to have your access to unlimited intelligence. And access to unlimited intelligence, you use that beyond yourself, right? You get a group of people thinking together, and the amount of processing power is next to solve all kinds of problems. Like we're kind of doing.
Can I ask what your opinion is on joining a team?
It's right for some people. Just have to ask yourself, is that what you're looking for and in line with what you want to do? When you're working with a team, yeah, you're going to be placed in a role and you're going to have more expectations, especially if people are feeding you leads. They're going to have expectations. So as long as you're cool with that, along with that, the positive is, and in most team scenarios, and many team scenarios, like they feed you the leads, they help you the completion of the lead. So every team is a little different, but it's up to you what you're seeking for in your business. Like some people would say, hey, I just want to go on a listing appointment. That's all I want to do. I don't want anything else. If I just went on 3 listing appointments a week, I'd get 1 listing, and then somebody else will put the MLS on. They'll coordinate the pictures. They'll coordinate all the bull stuff that has to happen. I just want to go on listing appointments. And I want to join a team to do that. And there's teams out there that'll let you do that. You're not going to get 3%. Obviously, you maybe make 0.5% on the deal. You don't have any concerns that you have to worry about. You don't have to market the property. You don't have to answer those calls. Go on listing. So if you have a defined role that you want to achieve or that you're looking for to be a part of a team, and that'll satisfy your ability, that'll satisfy your needs as far as financially, and then being on a team is great. I would make this statement to say either you're going to be on a team or start a team. But teaming up
my goal is
almost inevitable.
Right. Well, my goal is to eventually have my own team in the future. I was just wondering if starting on a team was a good path to that.
Absolutely. Because you'll understand the teams by being in one for a period, and you'll get an appreciation for how they work. So you go off and start your own team, you can model already successful and then add whatever your flair is on top of those models for your next level growth. All right, but that's a great way to model success, because if you join a team that's already successful at lead generation, or they have already a defined role, like I'll spend a lot of money on, let's say, Boomtown, for example. So they're generating leads, but it's not like Boomtown leads are not like Sphere leads, right? So there's teams where, yeah, they'll get people to call and they expect you to close 2 out of those 100 kind of scenarios. And there's other teams, Rainmaker is legit as a rainmaker, and you're taking his clients out and helping them fulfill their obligations by playing, maybe a buyer's agent or a showing agent role. But then you understand how that dynamic works as your business, because a lot of times people want to work with you, and when you're in that role as a team leader, you have to learn how to convince people not to work with you. I don't have time to show houses. I'm sorry, but I have my team here, and they'll be awesome at showing. They'll show the house, and once you find the house you want, then I get involved and help you buy the house, because that's where my core competence is. That's where my highest value is when you get to that point as the team leader. I realize that it's better for me to spend 2 hours in my sphere of influence, because I'm going to get 3 leads from those calls, than to spend 2 hours working with one client showing them homes. So once you get to that point, then your team is going to start to grow. have that realization. Say, hey, I know that every time I generate for 2 hours or 3 hours, now I'm good and I'm going to book 3 or 4 appointments. So then the time comes to fulfill those appointments and goes, well, I can spend the next 3 hours driving around them houses, or I can find this new agent that just came into the office, pretty sharp. They look like they got a clean car. They can show them houses for the next 3 hours and get that experience. I can call for the next 3 hours and get 3 more clients. So as your business grows, that's too. Then you run out of people to call. Okay, well, I don't have anybody to call, but I have all these closings, so I have an extra. Okay, I can start farming. Or I can start these long-term, more money-driven lead generation activities, right? Because it'll take to call 1,000 people, an hour to send 1,000 posts. I want to send those 1,000 postcards on the $3,000, or really the 30 grand to send them for 6 months. And it not be a burden if you fail. You're not really going to hurt yourself because you still have your other streams of revenue going.
And just because you're the first person other than Alice that I talked to about the MLS thing that I'm dealing with, is it normal? Well, I guess this particular client has a pretty wide range that they're looking between. They're also looking at single family condo and townhouse, and pretty much all over the place, all the way down to San Jose up to Palo Alto. So I guess I've been putting off or trying to find, because I had lost all my work last time, find a couple hours of time to just block off where I can actually sit down and go through these 80-something properties, because I know that they want, more turnkey, but I need to go through each and every single one of these. Is that normal? And then do that daily because I have it on concierge, obviously. Okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't working harder and there was a better way I was unaware of.
The only other way that there's tools that we can put in place that'll automatically notify clients of properties that match their criteria. And you set up those tools, and you can do it on the MLS for free. You can pay for a system. I think that's coming along with Command and Kelly, that they do have neighborhood updates that they will. You want to be able to send the appropriate MLS data. Now, we're between Palo Alto and San Jose is one MLS. We're all the same. It's the same MLS. So that shouldn't be it looks like you have a huge diversity of types of home that people are looking for. And I think that you need to do maybe a little better job getting them focused on what's important for them, and getting them focused on, narrowing that down, because no one can go through an 80-thing list every week. Not a you, right? So we want to really get them focused on what's most important. So what's most important? Is it being close to work? Or is it maybe having more home? Because I'm assuming that, you want to live in Palo Alto because either you have money, which would live anywhere else because there's no other place to live for you, right? Either you're there or you want to be in Palo Alto, really healthy, trying to do everything you can to get into that little zone. So you really want a 4-bedroom house, but you'll settle for a 2-bedroom condo to be in Palo Alto. Does that make sense? So are they there? Is being there that important? And if that's not important, then Palo Alto's out the door. They're not buying a house in Palo Alto. Let's get them focused on something else. And then what's most important is that the condo or having space for a home, and combine that with their budget. What's their budget? Do you know?
Yeah, they're having me look between 700 and $1 million, 2 to 3 bedroom, and he works at Google in Sunnyvale. She works at Stanford. So
Cool.
They want both to be as close to work as possible, but to get the most for their money. And it was originally 7 to 9, and they just upped it to $1 million. So
Do they get pre-approved with your lender?
no, I have been fighting with them for like weeks on that.
Yeah, they have to get pre-approved with your lender so they know exactly what the dollars mean. So sometimes people have a preconception of what is $1 million. It's like, oh, I don't want $1 million in debt. What does $1 million in debt mean? Their conception might be based on interest rates from when they were 8, 9%. What does it mean? That's a lot of money. It's a lot of interest to pay. But now it's only 3%. That makes a difference, right? So what is $1 million? What does that payment look like? Maybe they'll come to the realization that we can really afford a payment on a $2 million place. We don't know that until we go through the pre-approval process. So we know what that looks like. Because if you really want to live in Palo Alto, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. So then becomes what's important. Do you want to live close to work or do you want to live in a bigger house? But you need to understand what their budget is. $1 million isn't going to buy much, not even in San Jose. They want a single family house. They're going to be living in 95111, 95127 maybe. Alum Rock, not in the hills. San Jose South around Monterey Highway.
Well, my last, yeah, no, absolutely. My last conversation with them, so they're very much about
people that work at Google.
Yeah, they only want to text or email. They don't want to get on the phone ever. The last conversation I had with them was basically, let's go ahead and get you on this MLS feed so that you can start seeing what's out there and what these prices are along with me. And maybe, from that, you can tell me what you like and don't like about the different properties I send you so that we can get it narrowed down. But as of right now, my afternoon is set up to go through 80, single family homes. And then I haven't even looked up the condos and townhomes in that price range yet.
Yeah, so I would recommend really, you want to get them through pre-approval. And until that happens, I would just hammer them on that. Because there's no point to going and looking at houses without it. Because when you find a house and you love it, in the 3 days it's going to take to get the pre-approval, someone else will buy it.
I told them that. I put all that information. I talked to them about, having COVID, with COVID needing to have a pre-approval and before we can even go see it in person. I talked about having a strong offer and a multi-offer market by having the pre-approval. And they just keep saying, oh, I'll set up an appointment with my mortgage broker who's their family friend in the next couple of weeks. And so then I tried from there to get them to give me this mortgage broker's information, offering the service of connecting with them and getting the ball rolling and the conversation going on their behalf, and to create a relationship, create a team type relationship around them. And their reply to that was, I'll set up the appointment and fill you in on how it goes. So there's definitely a lot of resistance, and they also are saying that they want to look now, but they don't want to buy until Q4.
Cool. That's what virtual tours are for. We don't have open houses. And with COVID-19 being what it is, homeowners they're not even going to let you in their house unless they show them a pre-approval. Times have changed. So if you don't want to show me a pre-approval, that's fine. You just show me a bank statement with about $1 million or $2 million in cash, and I'd be happy to show you any properties in that price point. It's not a problem. But, excuse me, right now, because of COVID, sellers are limiting access to their property more so than ever before. Before we used to need a pre-approval to get in the car, to show homes in general, but sometimes people would forget it. We never had to send it to the listing agent. I have a listing that my sellers are very concerned. If you want to look at it, I need to see all your money and your pre-approval letter before you can look. That's the terms. That's what the sellers want. So if you guys are serious about taking advantage of the market today, then this is what we need to do. And I don't know about Q4. I know about now. And right now, we can get you pre-approved and maybe even locked in an interest rate around 3%. Q4, if things are going well, it's not going to be 3%. It'll be 4.5%. The price is going to be the same, but your payment's going to be 50% higher. So you're either going to buy less house. So you have to create that, you really want to create urgency with people. And really want to spend till Q4, then the response to that is, I'd love to see you in Q4, but can you do me a favor? Sure, Melissa, what is it? I kind of have to pay my rent this month, so I really need a client that's looking to buy now. You know, advantage of today's interest rate today, because I actually have a couple of good opportunities in Sunnyvale and Santa Clara that are priced aggressively that someone that wants to take advantage of now can take advantage of. Do you know anyone in that?
Sorry, Mark, you froze.
Because the opportunity is real, right?
Okay, so how should I progress with the MLS feed? I mean, I already told them that I would be setting them up on that, and I went through and their whole criteria again, since that was given to me before COVID.
You know, do it. What's their
Yeah.
budget? Their budget, you said 900 to $1 million, and what
Yeah,
they
well,
want
they're saying 7 to $1 million because they think if they are in the 7 to between 7 and 850, then they can have an HOA. But then if they go 9 to $1 million, they won't be able to have the HOA. So they want to look at both options.
Yeah, you need to be real with them and show them what's available at those prices, because it's really not much. Really not. And say, well, do you guys want a 2-bedroom condo in East Palo Alto? Do you want to live in Jose? Do you want to, what's available? And then you have to, you call them up with that conversation. What do you guys think of the homes that you sent us, that we sent? They're going to say they're not good. So well, that's what we can afford. Unless we get pre-approved, we understand what more. I mean, people that work at Google and Stanford do well. They can do better. It's just a matter of convincing them that it's a solid investment that they will benefit from.
So how should I narrow? I mean, because they said they're willing to look all the way down. They were looking around. He likes hockey and things like that. So he wanted to look around the SAP Center, and they were even willing to come as far down as like Alum Rock area. They didn't want to go as far as South San Jose because the commute would be too much. All the way over to Milpitas, and then up into East Palo Alto. So between those price ranges, I've been going through, and just the first 20 that I looked at, there was 12 homes that were within their criteria. If I go through all 80, and that's just single family, that hasn't even gotten into the condos yet. Should I just just sit down and spend the time and just go through each of those and just send them the crap ton? Yeah, okay, that's all I needed. I just needed to know I was spending my time wisely.
You know what, Melissa, you don't have to spend the time and look at every single one because they're not ready to buy yet. You're just going to look through, you'll see those 80, pick 3 or 4 good ones. That's it. And just send those. Because you don't have the time to spend an hour to look through 80 for people that aren't ready. Like if they were ready, like writing offers, pre-approved, then okay, spend that time. But if they're not, you're just looking to tease them to get them in. So you just give them a couple of options. Hey, look, these are a couple of properties that are available to you. And there's a few more that come and go here and there. Are you guys ready to make a move? Are these appealing? If they're appealing, they go. And if they're not appealing, then you look for another one. But I mean, if they're not appealing, to understand, okay, well, why are they not appealing? Well, we don't want to live in these areas with these small homes. Well, what's the? Well, we need a bigger budget. And then convince people that they're not buying a car. That's the second thing. This is an investment. Whatever you buy, it's not like you drive it away and it loses value. Whatever you buy, it's an investment. It's going to hopefully retain its value or appreciate. What's more expensive, a $300,000 house where they lose 10% a year, or a $1.2 million house where they make 10% a year? Really, what's more expensive? Because that $1.2 million house is going to be worth $1.350 next year. The $300,000 will probably be worth $270 next year. What's more expensive? Right? You don't want to lose money, even though you're spending less, but the reason why homes are less expensive is because they're less desirable. That's simple. So right now we're looking at the entry level to the homes that are the least desirable. And they're the first. So you have 2 challenges. A, you're not going to love everything you're going to buy. The second challenge is there's lots of people at this price point. So chances are you're going to be paying more than they're asking for something you don't. So is that going to be successful? It's going to be a challenge. So it's important that we understand that, A, we need to fit the people in the right box. And if they're unwilling to go, then we got to cut them go. But you want to try it. Don't give up easy.
Say that last line.
I said, you want to try a few times. I said, don't give up easy.
Oh, no, not at all. You know, they told me the only reason they were waiting till Q4 is someone got in their ear and told them that
When all
things
the
will be
forbearance
better.
things are going to hit, when all the forbearance properties are going to hit,
Yeah.
when all the banks are losing all their money, they're going to raise the interest rates to make up for it. They're not in the business of losing money.
Right.
So it's going to be more, even if the prices go down.
Okay. Well, thank you so much,
And
Mark.
if they do, and if anything else, it'll bring more buyers into the marketplace, which will increase their competition, of course. But I think that with those people, I mean, we want to do our best. I would not spend a lot of time sifting through 80 properties, but send them a few every few days to see if their motivation is. Sometimes they'll pick one and say, oh yeah, we really want to see this. Say, great. I'll have them call you for the pre-approval. Are you free at 2 or at 4? What's a better time? And you want to be in control of that. So I'd say don't have them call your lender. Say, hey, I'll have my lender call you at 4 o'clock today. Does that work for you?
They are adamant about using their family friend mortgage broker.
Cool. Call your family friend mortgage broker. Have him reach out to me and let me know what the scoop is. What do you need to know? I need to know how much you can afford, how much down payment you're going to put down, and how fast your mortgage broker friend can close the loan. How much time he's going to need to approve you, and how much time he needs to close the loan. We don't want to put 50 contract that he can't adhere to, and you're out day 15 losing your deposit. We don't lose deposits.
Right. Okay, perfect. I think I have my my plan for the afternoon.
Thank you for hanging out.